So, Brendan, tell us a little bit further what happened then. So you were doing, as you said, you're a good student, so you're a good learner, wanting to please, listening, seeing the experts, and eating your grains and fruit salad, and then presumably you got thin doing that.
Oh, you're funny. No, absolutely not. As I say, overweight since childhood, in and out of doctors' offices, dietitians' clinics, by adulthood, that had extended to the odd visit to hospital. And my heaviest by about 2015, I'm in my mid to late 30s at that point, and at my heaviest, I'm 137 kilograms, or 302 pounds. And I was not in a very good place. I mean, at that weight, I'm 175 centimeters tall or 5'9". That gives me a BMI of 45. So I am off the chart. I don't know what class of obesity that is, but it's very, very high. And in addition to that weight, I'm dealing with physical pain as well, chest pain, which is not a good part of your body to be experiencing pain in. You expect the worst, and everybody around you is just sort of thinking, well, it's just a matter of time now. And I was just one of those people. And in desperation that year, what I decided I would try and do was, let's see if I can walk to work. It's a few blocks, well, several, but it was too many for me at that size. You might think, well, why couldn't he have just done that all the time? Why don't fat people exercise? The answer to that is because it's too hard. If you can imagine, strap on a 30, 40, 50 kg weight suit and imagine never being able to take it off at all hours of the day and night, every day of your life. Everything is hard. That's why it doesn't happen. But I tried to push my way through that for a period of about 6 months, lost a few kilos, not many, about 5 kilos over 6 months. And I thought, well, at that point, I'm seeing that this exercise is working, though I'm really not getting much reward. Maybe I need to refine my routine a little bit. So deep breath, let's go and make an appointment at a gym, which for me was just, like stepping into the lion's den. It was just the most horrible prospect imaginable in my mind. Scary, super scary. And I never told anybody about it beforehand because I didn't want anybody to know. I was just so, ashamed of how I'd let myself go, etc. So I turn up at the gym and I figure I'm going to be the easiest sell ever, right? He's just going to sign me up to a gym membership and I'm just going to do all the talking for him. He's not going to have to work for this at all. But instead, he did something totally unexpected. And he said, mate, there's nothing I can do for you. I could sign you up. You might lose a little bit of weight. But I think in your case, we need to look at your diet. We need to look at what you're eating. And I'm thinking, oh, here we go. Another one of these eat less types. But he put me on to a diet that I recognized was sufficiently different from what I had been told before, this idea of a low carb diet. And it wasn't totally new to me either. Like I'd heard about it in the news back when Atkins was doing the rounds, as it does periodically every few years in the media. And I'd first heard about it in the early 2000s, I suppose. And it got me curious at that time. But all the experts, the usual people are coming out and saying, no, you don't want to be doing low carb. That's bad. Saturated fat will clog your arteries and you'll be dead of a heart attack before you know it. It's this crazy, unsubstantiated, unscientific fad diet. Do not do low carb. And that was what I'd taken on board for so many years. And so to finally have this low carb diet put to me by someone in person for the first time, I wasn't sure what to do. It certainly wasn't what I was expecting. So I wasn't very happy about that. But then I thought, you know what? I'm just going to give it a shot anyway. It can't possibly work because if this is the way to go, then all of those experts are wrong. And that's just, in my mind, impossible. So I made a start without actually any expectation that it would work at all. If anything, it could very well have been the end of me in my mind. And I was surprised as anybody when it turned out to be a whole new beginning.
I just love that. I love so much about it. What I love is your initial resistance. And I think it's quite normal because and to use a pun that everybody uses, it is against the grain. And I remember when I first was introduced to it, which was by another doctor a gorgeous friend who I love and trust very much. But when she said to me, and I was sitting there piously eating my carrot sticks, and she said, "Oh, well, you don't really eat carrots, and there's not a lot of fruit on it." And I'm thinking, what? What's a rubbish diet? It doesn't have fruit on it. I'm not doing that. And then I just saw her, and I just kept thinking, and I was watching what she was eating, and I'm thinking, just maybe I'll give it a crack. So it sounds a little bit like you. You just thought, what have I got to lose?
Yeah, it's hard to argue with results, right? And when I was getting started, I was losing about 1 kilo a week for the first few weeks. And even after sort of about a month or so, I suppose, I was thinking, this could be anything. This could just be a total coincidence. I was seeing the results, but I'd had it so deeply ingrained into my brain beforehand that low carb was wrong, that it does not work, that I was struggling to believe what I was actually seeing on the scales. I was losing a meaningful amount of weight for the first time in my entire life. And all I had to do was exactly that which all of the experts up until then had told me exactly not to do. So it was such a mental turnaround. Everything is just upside down. Nothing makes sense anymore. Your whole perception of reality is challenged when you find that, such a thing that you're told is wrong in every conceivable way is exactly what is actually working for me.
Yeah. And I think this is the word, epiphany. So many people use that. They go, oh my God, it's like an epiphany. They just suddenly can't believe it.
It wasn't so much of an epiphany for me as it was just a gradual realization. I don't think there was ever one moment for me. I would just step on the scales and, okay, I've lost a little bit of weight. That's great. But it's still, there still could be anything. It's still just a coincidence. I'd step on the scales again in another week and, I've lost a little bit more weight. Okay. And the following week, I've lost a little bit more. And it was just sort of a gradual coming to terms with what was happening. This is real. The number on the scales is dropping in a way that I had never seen before in my entire life. And it wasn't really until about December 2015. I started October, so it was about Christmas, about 2 months in. Towards the end of 2015, I'd lost about 10 kilos by the end of that year. And this was a phenomenal amount of weight for me. I still had so much more to lose, of course, but it was enough for me to decide at that point that this is real. This is something that I need to start taking seriously, and let's just keep doing what I'm doing. It's clearly working. I don't fully understand it yet, but let's just ride it out and see where I end up.